When we come to the decision, a verbal update will be given of our decision today, and then a written decision with reasons for that decision will be available within 14 days. And then a summary of the decision will be sent to the audit committee. We're a subcommittee of the audit committee, so any decision we make goes to the audit committee. Everyone happy what we're doing? Okay. So the first complaint is a complaint RP 463301 against Councillor Lee from North Taunton Town Council. The investigating officer's investigation report concludes that there's been no breach of the code by Councillor Lee. In considering the investigating officer's report on the complaint, the subcommittee must decide whether or not to accept the investigating officer's conclusions, and then either dismiss the complaint or decide to hold a hearing to make a final decision on whether the councillor has broken the code, and if so, whether any sanction should be applied. The subcommittee has before it the investigating officer's report. And I take that as having been read by members of the committee. Any other information that may have been provided by the subject councillor, the views of the independent person, and the hearing procedure itself. So the summary of the complaint. The matter was referred for investigation in order to determine whether the actions of Councillor Lee failed to treat the complainant with respect, and whether, in speaking as he did, the subject matter disclosed confidential information. Any allegations of bullying and intimidation were discounted at the initial assessment stage. The investigating officer's findings were that Councillor Lee has not broken the code. All parties agreed that a discussion did take place between Councillor Lee and the complainant. However, there's a discrepancy between the facts as set out by the complainant and those that have been submitted by the subject matter member and the clerk. The investigating officer concluded that it was more likely than not that a discussion between Councillor Lee and the complainant took place during the break in the council meeting, and that the majority of those present would have taken advantage of this break to step outside, and therefore it was only the clerk and the subject matter who were left in the chamber. The investigating officer's conclusions are that Councillor Lee raising the matter in front of the clerk was not a breach of confidentiality. A recording of the conversation submitted by the complainant after the completion of the meeting has been considered by the investigating officer, and he has confirmed that it has not changed his view, and no breach was found during his investigation. The view of the independent person, Mr. Martin Gleed, has been consulted about the investigating officer's report, and Mr. Gleed has confirmed that he agrees with the investigating officer's findings and no breach has been made. He sends his apologies that he's not been able to make this meeting today. And also in our paperwork, Councillor Lee, the subject matter, has confirmed that he accepts the investigating officer's findings that no breach has been made. And of course, you are here today to listen to that.
Can I add anything to that, Mr. Chairman?
I just need to check with my legal advice on whether you're allowed to.
No. If we went to a full, if the decision was for a full hearing, you would get an opportunity to make representations in advance and at the meeting. There's limited options today, so they have the full report from the investigating officer.
Just to confirm, I've read the investigating officer's report entirely.
Okay, we acknowledge that. Thank you. Thank you. So the subcommittee now has to decide whether or not to agree with the investigating officer's conclusions, and if so, what actions to take. And at this stage, we have the opportunity, the three of us, just to retire, to have a quick talk, and then come back and let you know what our decision is. So we'll do that. So please just stay where you are. We won't be long.
I'll accompany the panel. My role is not to interfere with the decision-making process. If they want any legal advice, and I'm taking my trusty constitution with me, that's what I'll do, and I'll come back and tell you what I've said to them.
The subcommittee has had an opportunity to discuss this and accepts the investigating officer's finding that the councillor has not broken the code of conduct. The reasons set out in the investigating officer's report. So we dismiss the complaint.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm very happy with that.
Just to recap on what the chairman said, what happens now is I will let parties who I've got contacts for know today by an email, and a written decision will follow. So it's like a table with all the criteria in it, and that will get sent to you, the complainant, the investigating officer, and the independent person, and also the clerk will get a copy. And then it'll be referred to our full audit and governance committee, where that decision will pass as minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. We now turn to the second complaint, RP 476679. And this is a complaint against 4 members of the North Taunton Town Council, Councillors Watson, Simmons, Kennedy and Whitley. The investigating officer's report concludes that there's been no breach of code by all 4 councillors. In consideration of the investigating officer's report on the complaints, the subcommittee must again decide whether or not to accept the investigating officer's conclusions and then either dismiss the complaint or decide to hold a hearing to make a final decision on whether any of the councillors have broken the code and decide whether any sanction should be applied. So once again, in front of us today, we have the investigating officer's report. and I take that as been read by members of the committee. Any further information provided by subject councillors? We have some. Views of the independent person and the hearing procedure itself. I'll now just detail the summary of the complaint. The complainant wished to film future town council meetings. The legal right to film a meeting is not the issue. The key considerations are whether the subject matters have broken the code by their reasons for their absence from the estate committee meeting, which has affected the complainant's mental health. Additionally, it was alleged that one of the subject members has broken the code by the reasons given for seeking external legal advice on filming rights. The complainant was a member of the town council at the time of the incidents, although he has subsequently resigned as a councillor. The investigating officer's findings are that the actions of the 4 subject members do not break the code of conduct. The investigating officer concluded that requesting external legal advice was not a breach of the code, and that taking into account the rules on qualified privilege and the need for politicians to have thicker skins, a reasonable person in possession of the facts would consider the actions of the subject members fall within the limits of acceptable criticism. The independent person for this matter is Mrs. Victoria Spence. She has been consulted about the investigating officer's report, and Mrs. Spence has confirmed that she agrees with the investigating officer's findings that no breach of all of the subject members has been had. Mrs. Spence is present at our meeting today. The subcommittee now has to decide whether or not to accept the investigating officer's conclusions and either dismiss the complaint or refer the matter to a further hearing. And once again, we have the opportunity of taking a short break in order to discuss that, and I'll be back shortly with our conclusions. Well, we've had an opportunity to discuss this case, and we are unanimous in dismissing it. The case is dismissed, and there will be no further action. And as we've said before, that will be reported both to you today and in writing, and then subsequently to the Audit Committee. So I thank you very much for coming today, and that concludes our meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this now public? The outcome?
We're no longer live streaming.
I think the councillor is asking whether the outcome is public, which I can, through you, Chairman, is yes.
Yeah, because there are two other councillors who were not able to attend today.
I will,
Yes.
through you, Chairman, I will write to the email them. I've got the contact details to give them the outcome today and your clerk, just to say that that was the outcome and that a full decision notice will follow. Go to all those parties I mentioned, plus it would be referred back to the Audit and Governance.
So I was just asking, can we go public with it as far as the other councillors
Yes,
are concerned?
it's up to you what you want to do with that now. Yes.
Well, on behalf of North Taunton Town Council, thank you for your time on all of this and for the effort that's been put into it. And we're very happy that the matter has now been entirely concluded.